BARK Radio.
What's good, everybody? It's Robo from All Bark back from the video, and today I'm bringing my NFL Week 11 picks. I'm picking every game both straight up and against the spread, and keeping track of my results both weekly and yearly in the process. It's been a great year for the picks so far. Before we get into Week 11's picks, let's go ahead and recap last week's results on the channel. Last week was a big one for my picks, going both 9-4 straight up and against the spread. And if not for some horrendous special teams play and an overtime extra point hook, we could have had another 2 with the Browns and Colts. I had a pretty bad read with the Steelers towards the end, though, honestly. I thought the Chargers would miss Alt a lot more, and that defense was incredible in that game. We're now way into the positive for the year, though, so without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with Sunday's matchups. We'll start with the overseas early morning start. This week's matchup is in Madrid, Spain, between the Commanders and Dolphins. Another ugly international matchup between two bad teams. The Dolphins coming in as field goal favorites. I'd understand this line if it was in Miami, but this game being international where momentum kind of goes to die and games are usually ugly makes it a textbook buy low, sell high spot for me. You've got to have the guts to do it with this Commanders team though, and I think I do this week. I'm still selling this Dolphins team even after that Bills win. That's a divisional opponent for them, and the Bills just played abysmal football in that game. Marcus Mariota knows this offense and can move the football, and the Commanders are definitely due for a little bit of positive regression. I don't think they're fully tanking post Daniels injury. They hope to get him back this year, so I think they were just overrated early on and pretty unlucky. This Miami team sold a bit at the deadline, and this game is a lot different than the one against the Bills. So I just can't lay the points with Miami, expecting a better game out of the Commanders overseas. I'll take them pick up their first win in forever this week, 23-20. On to the 1 p.m. slate, starting in the AFC North with the Steelers hosting the Bengals. Cincinnati has to win some games these next few weeks to make Joe Burrow coming back matter. Their defense has cost them a few wins lately in some really ugly fashion, but let's not hide the fact that this offense has been fantastic with Joe Flacco. The playmakers are balling out around him, and they're putting up some huge numbers. The issue is the defense continuing to get gashed almost every drive. But this week could be a little bit different. It has to be if they want a shot here, but it's a divisional matchup against the Steelers offense that just doesn't seem explosive enough to me to really blow out this Bengals team, especially with the way the Steelers have played defensively for a lot of this season. The Bengals probably find the end zone at least a few times in this game. The question is will their defense allow it to matter this week? And honestly, I think this game ends up really close once again for the Bengals. I just don't see how you can trust them to win a game right now, let alone on the road. So I'll take the Steelers to survive a close one this week, 31-28. Over to the Chargers at the Jaguars. I thought the Chargers looked pretty solid last week without Alt. I didn't want to back that offense considering their numbers this season without Alt protecting Herbert, but they made pretty quick work of that Steelers defense, and the defense of their own absolutely dominated that Pittsburgh squad, giving up just a field goal and a garbage time touchdown on primetime. Looking good without a great player in Alt is a great sign for this week's matchup on the road with the Jags. This Jaguars team is just not viable to me. They got off to a hot start this season with a very misleading record, and since have just been terrible. Even with Myers added in, I don't love this offense, and I think it may take some time to develop that connection. And this Chargers defense can cause enough confusion and enough pressure to make the Jaguars offense continue to struggle. I've just gained more trust in Herbert and this Chargers coaching staff on the road against a team they're just better than. So I got him winning and covering here, 24-17. The Bills look to get back after the ugly Miami loss this week as they host the Bucs. I've said it a couple times now, I definitely believe this Tampa team was pretty fraudulent. I think it's just a decent group, but the injuries have stacked up a ton and their record was a bit misleading as well. And they lost outright to the Pats at home last week, which is definitely not a bad loss, but we saw they just weren't really that great of a team after all that they've lost. But this Bills team clearly has issues they need to fix to win anything this year. They're still a contender in my eyes. They always will be with Josh Allen at the helm. He's just a gamer and will want to get back on track here at home desperately against a decent opponent. They'll need to play a lot better on both ends this week to compete with the Bucs though, especially stopping the run defensively. Divisional games are always tougher for the Bills it seems though, so I think they take this one as it's not, but the Bucs are good enough to hang around here. I'll go 27-24. Now on to an NFC North matchup. The Chicago Bears are on the road to the Minnesota Vikings this week. To keep it simple with this Bears team, this defense is just awful. It's not the Bengals bad, but it's a bad and injured group, and they have consistently made life tough for the Bears offense to drag them out of holes. And honestly, the schedule has not been difficult at all either. I'm just not a believer in this Bears team, but like I said, they remind me of the Commanders from last year a bit. A lot of clutch moments and an offense bailing out the defense week in and week out throughout a pretty easy schedule. But this week in Minnesota, I think it costs them. It's a clear bounce back spot for JJ after an abysmal day against the Ravens. This is a defense he may actually be able to perform against. Minnesota is also typically very tough to beat at home, and Brian Flores had this Bears offense figured out quickly in week 1. A lot has changed, but I just can't buy this Bears defense on the road right now. And I don't see JJ turning it over as much as other teams have against the Bears this season. So I like the Vikings here, 27-23. Texans at Titans could be an interesting one this week in the AFC South. No CJ Stroud again for Houston as he sits with concussions. But Davis Mills proved himself last week in that big comeback win over the Jags, and I still expect them to win this game with that defense. It didn't even really show up that much against Jacksonville, but it did late, and so did Mills in this offense. But this week, I think the Titans keep it close. It's tough to follow up well the week after a comeback win regardless, but especially when you have to go on the road at a divisional opponent without your starting quarterback. I think the Titans should be able to force stops in this Houston offense and keep it a pretty low-scoring game. The Texans' offensive line is still bad to me, and I think some pressure could go a long way here for Tennessee. I'm sure everyone's going to assume this is a tanking team, but a lot of these younger players will come out and play in a divisional game at home. I don't think they're a good enough team to call an upset, but I like getting 6 here at least. So I'm going to take the Texans to survive, 20-17. This Panthers at Falcons game is a pretty tough one to pick, as for the most part, the Panthers defense has been very good this season, but this is a clear get-back spot to me for Atlanta. The Falcons got blown out in Carolina earlier this season, and I'd imagine they'll want revenge against their division rival. They should be hungry this time around, and I just can't buy this Panthers offense after what I saw them do against the Saints last week. That was an ugly loss, and Tyler Shuck had a really nice day against the secondary as well. Carolina is just not a team I want to back in the spot on the road. I've taken them several times this year to cover, and they've gotten it done, but after that outright loss at home, I just do not like this spot on the road, especially considering how the first game went, knowing Atlanta's going to want this one pretty bad. And coming more prepared this time around is going to be huge, so give me the Falcons here, 24-16. Packers at Giants could have been a really fun game considering how this Packers offense has looked compared to the amount of success the Giants have had this season in the first 3 quarters. But after yet another blown fourth quarter double-digit lead, the Giants fired Brian Daboll and lost Jackson Dart in the process of that game with a concussion. And I can't buy this Giants team without Dart leading it. There's just no real measurement stick with Jameis in this offense without any real playmaking threats. He's a pretty turnover-happy quarterback throughout his NFL career, and this Packers defense could be all over him in the pass rush. They are absolutely desperate now, coming off back-to-back losses to the Panthers and the Eagles. They're going to want to get things right on the road against a Giants team without their true leaders on the offensive side of the ball. If Dart was playing, I'd have no problem considering the Giants keep it close. But the constant choking as well as the variance you get with Jameis at quarterback without any weapons is a lot. So I'm going to take the Packers pretty easily, 27-17. Seahawks at Rams is the game of the week, maybe even the game of the year in my opinion. This Seahawks offense up against a great pass rush with LA, as well as Matthew Stafford, who should be firmly in the MVP conversation with his play this season, is going to be so much fun to watch. I love the Seahawks team, but the reality is so far they've beaten nobody of real value. No wins over legitimate playoff teams, which has me leaning towards the Rams at home here. This is one of those games where I'd probably lean the other way if the spread was a little bit higher, but sitting at 3, I really do not mind the Rams. They're just likely the better team looking at who they've both beaten. But like I said, full respect to Darnold and JSN, who have just been unstoppable, and this Seahawks team looks great and absolutely could pull it off. A win here would probably vault them to true contender status at the very top of the league. I just think the Rams are going to be the better team this Sunday in LA, and they'll take this one really close, 31-28. The 49ers are getting Brock Purdy back this week as they hit the road to take on the Arizona Cardinals. And while that could definitely be a plus for this offense, I'm personally not a big buyer of Brock Purdy, honestly. And I think it's definitely fair to say Mac Jones did a very good job replacing him while Purdy was sidelined. Purdy's proven himself, but I really didn't think the gap was very large at all, and we'll see if Purdy proves me wrong. But at the same time, I'm also not a believer in Jacoby Brissett being better than Kyler Murray either. I think the decision to make a change was premature given it was only one win in a couple of games overall. And last week he looked awful, and now he's also out Marvin Harrison Jr. as well as Zay Jones. It's still a banged up Niners team they're hosting, but mainly defensively now as that offense is basically at full strength. And Arizona is continuing to have injuries stack up on themselves now. I've got to lay a 3 with San Fran on the road here, 23-16. Next is the Ravens at the Browns. Lamar Jackson is playing in this game, but maybe banged up a bit as he landed on the injury report earlier this week after a missed practice. The one thing this Browns team has going for them this year is that the defense is absolutely elite, especially at rushing the passer with Myles Garrett, which has been a definite weakness for this Ravens offensive line this season. They are not protecting well against good pass rushes, and that is what I think keeps the Browns in this game. They won't score much on offense, but the Ravens defense has been scored on this season. Double-digit points here from the Browns offense, or even their defense scoring it, and I like the odds of a cover here. I think the Ravens will have to sweat this one out, but continue their winning streak as they look forward towards a playoff run, 20-14. Over to the AFC West and the last midday game, Chiefs at Broncos. To keep this one simple, I like the Chiefs a lot in this game. Bo Nix is just not a good quarterback right now, and I don't think it's disrespectful to say that at all. Denver's offense is bad right now and really has been all season. They've got an incredible record thanks to a very nice schedule and a dominant defense keeping them in games. But missing J.K. Dobbins may hurt that offense even more now, at least a little bit. And Patrick Mahomes knows how to find points against this Broncos team, both home and road. And I think this is the week the Bronco magic dies out a bit. That record is pretty absurd compared to their talent level of this team, and the Chiefs are absolutely due for another big day here. I think it's clear they're one of the better teams in the league. They're coming off of a bye to follow up a Bills loss, so there's no doubt they're going to be hungry to try and vault back into the playoff conversation this week against a division rival. So it's Chiefs here for me, 24-17. On to the second best game in the week, and in many eyes maybe the best one, the Lions at the Eagles on Sunday Night Football. I've said it multiple times this season, the Eagles just seem inevitable every time you look at their matchup pregame, but I have some real questions for that offense. Obviously, we can all see the coaching issues every week with this team, but the offense just is not getting the job done either. Sure, the Packers' defense is great, but the Eagles' offense has really been suspect for a lot of this season, and this Lions defensive line can wreak some havoc. They're out some guys in the secondary, but I still love the linebacker group, as well as Brian Branch at safety as a good combo. And we saw their depth guys in the secondary play pretty well a few weeks ago. This offense may have turned a corner with Dan Campbell calling plays last week for the first time. So if they could score on this Eagles team with any consistency, I think they run into Philly and pull off an upset with just a better, deeper offense. It's going to be a great game regardless, I think, but I think the Lions may have fixed some of their issues, and I'm going to take them here on the road, 23-20. This Monday night game looks ugly, but it is a big one for the Cowboys as they're on the road against the Raiders. And the reason it's so big is because of basically a complete defensive overhaul coming in. DeMarvion Overshown is finally back from IR this week. He was a beast in my eyes last season and is a big addition at linebacker for them. And he'll have a couple new teammates making their debuts as well, as both Quinnen Williams and Logan Wilson get inserted into the starting lineup this week after getting the bye week to get it acclimated. But it doesn't end there either, as second-round rookie Siobhan Ravel is also being activated to make his debut, which could definitely be exciting. But looking at this matchup as it is, this Raiders team is flat out abysmal and is probably better off starting a tank for draft position at 2-7. Things have not gone to plan at all, and they're coming off of back-to-back close losses that could just break a team. So I just have to lean the Cowboys here. Hopes are still alive for that team. The offense is due coming off back-to-back losses where they did not play well. And this is a game they absolutely have to have if they want to stay alive. So I like Dallas Monday night with a revitalized defense, 31-21. That's it for my Week 11 picks. Let me know your thoughts on any of these games down in the comments below. As always, thanks for watching. Feel free to like and subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.
BARK Radio.